Hi, welcome to Just Common Sense. My name's Brian Harrison. Hey guys, I got Jerry on the line again tonight, so we're going to talk about the filibuster tonight. Jerry, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. How you doing, Brian?
We're so much to talk about, but we're going to keep it short tonight, guys, because we can just go on and on and on with this. Joe Biden's a wreck. I'm just going to say it. The whole left-wing party, they're a wreck. Everybody, I mean, across the whole country. I've gotten to this point with them. Frustrating, and it's just frustrating. If it's not with COVID, it's the filibuster. It's something else. They're not doing well in the polls. They're doing terrible, so they're trying anything. They're grasping for straws, basically, and they're trying to. The only way to do it is take control. That's exactly what they're doing. They're trying to take control, more control, more control. If it's not schools being locked down, but again, that's in. We're hearing about that right now. That teachers don't want to go back to school. A lot of them because of COVID. But again, I want to stay off COVID tonight. We're going to talk about the filibuster. Jerry, go ahead and start talking about this because he's been wanting to talk about this too a little bit, and then I'm going to play a segment in a minute here.
Well, Brian, the filibuster is a tool that's been in place almost since the beginning of, our form of government that we currently have right now, our constitutional republic.
Absolutely.
And what the filibuster is designed for is it is designed for the party that is in the minority in whichever chamber they're speaking in. It's for the party in the minority to basically run out the clock on legislation, because legislation all has a time that once it's been introduced and it's up for debate, then, there's a certain amount of time. And then once that time runs out, then, basically they have to resubmit it again and they have to go back in and vote on it again and everything like that.
Right.
So, basically the filibuster has been something that's been used for many, many, many decades, actually hundreds of years, actually, if you want to look at it that way.
Right.
And so with the filibuster, like I said, it was put in place to keep the majority in whichever chamber they're in from steamrolling the minority by just simply passing things. So the minority can, it was really designed to push debate into, the length where, the debate has gone on so long that now it's time to just, hey, let's scrap this and start over again.
Right.
Unfortunately, in the last, couple of decades, what we've seen is a misuse of the filibuster,
right,
where the politicians will get up there and do silly stuff like and I'm going to use an example of a Republican, but that doesn't mean that I thought it was wrong. Ted Cruz ran a filibuster one time, and I want to say he went something like 22 hours or 23 hours or something like that. He went a long time.
Yeah.
Well, during his filibuster, he was doing silly stuff like he knew his kids would be watching on TV, so he started reading them a bedtime story. He read Green Eggs and Ham from Dr. Seuss.
Right.
So one of the things about the filibuster is there are no rules about what you can talk about. I mean, I could walk in and talk about the difference between store brand soft drinks and name brand soft drinks, and I could spend 6 hours talking about that.
Right.
And until I relinquish the floor, I have the floor. And so, on certain things, they're timed and it's like, okay, everybody gets X amount of minutes. But then when it comes time to vote, each person gets as much time as they want to talk and as long as they can keep going. Now, as soon as that person relinquishes the floor for any reason, then the filibuster is over. And what happens is whoever's in the other party, because basically they alternate. So one Republican to go, then one Democrat, then one Republican, one Democrat. So let's say somebody gets, 8 hours in and has to go to the bathroom. Guess what? You better hold it or your filibuster's over, because as soon as you relinquish the floor, then you've given it up. So
or you'll be busting.
The reason I explained it the way that I did,
make fun of that.
Yeah, really. Yeah. But the reason I explained it the way that I did is because, basically what's happened is for nearly his entire political career, Joe Biden has been a fan of the filibuster.
Right, exactly.
He's on video and on audio tape making claims that getting rid of the filibuster would be, a blow to, our government, and that in addition to being a blow to our government, that it would be a step away from the democratic process.
Right.
And he has criticized getting rid of the filibuster for decades.
Right.
And now, all of a sudden, like a petulant child who is not getting their way.
Right.
He wants to change the rules in the middle of the game to get his way.
Right.
And so now that all of a sudden he doesn't have the votes, on certain things in the Senate and possibly even in the House, now all of a sudden what he wants to do is he wants to go away with the filibuster rule and also change the Senate process. I believe they call it the nuclear option, where instead of a 60 vote threshold, it becomes a simple majority.
Right. And he's actually going to speak with the Democrats on the Senate side tomorrow. He's going to try to push them as well and try to push this through. Something he's been against for many, many years. And now he's going, well, yeah, exactly. And something he's all of a sudden wanting because he's being, part of it's him, but he's being pushed also from a lot of people on the left because they don't care. Sure. And you hear Schumer all day long talking about it the last 2 days, 3 days straight, and Pelosi as well. They don't care. And if they were to get this, you might as well never see a Republican as a president again. You're not going to see this.
Here's something funny
and there's more to this, but go ahead.
But something to put out there.
Yeah.
The one thing that, I'll use a simple analogy. A knife cuts both ways. So you may be having that knife there to cut a piece of fruit.
Right.
But if you get your finger in the way, it'll cut your hand too. The knife doesn't know the difference between your hand, the fruit, or whatever it is that you're cutting.
Right.
And so right now, the Democrats are all hot and bothered about getting rid of the filibuster.
Right.
Because if they can get rid of the filibuster, then they can get their way with a simple majority and not have to, go through the proper process the way our government's set up.
Right.
But what they're not thinking of
go ahead.
is that, 10 years, 12 years, 15 years down the road, there's going to come a time when they would need to filibuster. And then what they're going to do is they're going to claim that Republicans are un-American because they won't allow the filibuster to be reinstated. And, so they're, like I said, the Democrats are like children, little children, and they're like spoiled little children. They're not even like, well-behaved and well-groomed children, and that's one of the things that bothers me about the political machinations that are going on right now.
Oh, I know. Hey, I'm going to play a segment for everybody from Biden speaking yesterday, and I'll go over it a little bit after it plays. It's probably about 2 minutes tops. I'm going to cut it off in a little bit. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but hold on. Let's hear what Biden said yesterday, it has everybody riled up. It's one of many things he says. Hold on. Let's play this.
Thune, the Senate's number 2 ranking Republican. Senator, good to have you with us today. I think I'm going to remind everybody the comments that Senator McConnell was referring to yesterday from President Biden. Let's take a look.
So I ask every elected official in America, how do you want to be remembered? Do you want to be on the side of Dr. King or George Wallace? Do you want to be on the side of John Lewis or Bull Connor? Do you want to be on the side of Abraham Lincoln or Jefferson Davis?
So comparisons, I would assume, to Senator Sinema, Senator Manchin, to Jefferson Davis.
All right. So Biden actually is comparing pretty much the Republican Party against, George Wallace. A variety of other bad people. You can go on, it just goes on and on.
The same guy that said that he was going to reunite our country and
absolutely
and get rid of all the divisiveness and
I'm just like shocked.
Funny how that works, huh?
Well, it's funny what he's doing. He's trying to. He's slamming the Republican Party. Let's talk about this guy, our so-known President Biden, who's trying to get everybody together, unity. Not the case. This country's more divided than it's ever been. He's
never been about unity.
No,
it was just
a liar.
Another one of his lies.
Yes, he is a liar, and I'll say it. And I don't give a dang if anybody out there likes what I say about this, but he's a liar. He's a Marxist. The whole left wing up there is a Marxist, what they've done. And I'll tell you what, I would love to see this guy be impeached, and a whole bunch of them. But again,
he's done a lot more impeachable things than Trump ever did.
Absolutely. And where I'm going with this is, let's talk about this too. We've got Mitch McConnell. I'm going to say 2 things about Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell loved the speech today, but You're not doing anything. It's all talk. Your lips are moving and you're lying. It's what most of the Republicans are doing up there. When you're up there, not all of them. There's some of them that are good. Marjorie Taylor Greene, she got cut off. Everybody likes her up there. A lot of them, a lot of the good ones. Jim Jordan, we can go on.
McConnell has actually done some things good in his career.
Right.
But he has never been, but when he did,
he's not a fighter.
It was because it benefited him.
Right. He's not a fighter, and I am not happy with Mitch McConnell. I love the speech today. If he would stand behind that speech and stick with it, then that would be great. But lip service is cheap. That's what I'm going to say. Your lips are moving, you're lying when you're not doing something about it.
Well, I mean, think back. John Boehner gave a great speech about how he was going to shut down Obama and keep Obama from doing things. And then he did nothing but cave into Obama. And then, Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham and so many of the leaders of the party have gone out there and given these fantastic speeches that make me want to jump out of my chair and get excited and pump my fist in the air and just say, wow, that's fantastic. And then they do nothing about it.
Right.
There's no follow-up.
Hypocrisy. Yeah. Oh, the left's crazy right now with what they're doing. I've never seen anything like this. This country is more divided than I've ever seen. And it's sad. It really is sad.
Well, and the word you just used is probably one of the most key things that's going on in D.C. for quite some time now, and that's hypocrisy. Because, talking about, some of the people on the Republican side that get out and give these great speeches and then do nothing about it, and they cave in. That's hypocrisy. But my gosh, what about Joe Biden and his hypocrisy?
Right.
I mean, talk about, I'm going to be the great uniter. And everything he does is divisive. And he points fingers and casts stones and calls names and, and everything like that. Or better yet, how about Mr. Joe Biden, the guy that stands up there and says everybody must wear a mask and everybody in the press room in the White House has to wear a mask, but he takes his off when he speaks. Yeah. And if the guy's a hypocrite all the way around.
Hey, and if he's around somebody, let's talk about, Cortez. She's down in Florida partying without a mask. Why her state's suffering up here?
Oh, but wait a minute. What I'm about to say, I know that you know this, but I'm going to say it anyways. Not only did she go down there and do the hypocritical, go to Florida while her whole state's on lockdown, but now she has COVID.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, so does that mean that she took COVID to Florida and gave it to people down there because nobody at the party was masked? Or does that mean that she went down to Florida and was around, people? Because that, of course, Andrea, AOC would never hang around an unvaccinated person. Which means if she caught it from somebody in Florida, then she got it from a vaccinated person. Right. Which means the vaccine's not working.
Or the bad side of things, like you said, she probably may have caught it up here, taken it down to Florida, and spread it to other people. That's maybe another thing she's might have done. And guess what?
That was quite a large party that she was at.
Right. And let's talk about that for a minute. Let's talk. And I don't want to talk COVID for a lot, but we're going to talk about this for a second.
No, but we're doing it as a point of hypocrisy.
Right. But she runs down there. She gives it to somebody. Say she did have it. She gives it to somebody because she's triple vaxxed. All of a sudden, this other person gets it. I don't know what variant of COVID it is. We don't know what she has. And then all of a sudden, a few more get it. Somebody else gets it, gets it to their grandmother, grandfather. This elderly person dies, or somebody with diabetes dies. I mean, guess what? Congratulations, Cortez. Look what you just did.
Well, you know what it's like.
May have just murdered somebody by doing that. She may have murdered somebody, huh?
It's like that old commercial in the 80s for that shampoo. It's like the girl talks about how much she loved her shampoo, and she told two friends, and they told two friends, and they told two friends. Right. Next thing you know, the screen was filled with all the different people that were told, and that's kind of how this hypocrisy works with her. Yeah. She goes down, doesn't wear a mask, holds a super spreader event. Right. And in her super spreader event, how many hundreds of people did she possibly infect personally? Right. And then those hundreds of people go out and infect thousands more. Yeah. And those thousands go out and affect 10,000s of more. Right. I mean, it's oh my goodness. I mean, the numbers are staggering. I'm not a math whiz, but even I can figure out that, I mean, the exponential nature of the spread is incredible. Right. And again, we're most likely it's the Omicron. That's what we're hoping for, because that seems to be the mildest one, because we've had all the discussions of viruses, what they do and all that.
But again,
well,
it's the
I'm
point.
hoping that because even though I don't care
it's
for
the point.
her, I don't wish ill for her.
No, I don't want anything bad to happen to anybody.
Right.
I definitely don't. I do want to see people get impeached. I remember when a variety of people were talking. Green, she's up there saying, yeah, I just filed impeachment. Whatever happened to that? I mean, there was stuff filed to impeach Joe Biden, but it just disappeared. How did it disappear?
But that comes back to the hypocrisy you were talking about a minute ago, though, that, now what we've got is Donald Trump was impeached over a phone call and on charges that weren't even really impeachable offenses. And he was impeached over this phone call, which turned out to be nothing.
Right.
Then he was impeached over the whole January 6th thing, which, he wasn't even, the person behind it. And then he was no longer president by the time they did it.
Right.
And, here's Joe Biden, who has already been shown to be connected with Ukraine, to be connected with China, that his son was doing deals that his dad knew about and his dad's been getting money. And it's like, so there's all these things. So there's actual impeachable offenses against Biden that nobody's taking any kind of action on.
Right.
So there's your part of your hypocrisy again.
Right. Did I go too far?
Actual impeachable offenses are not working.
Sure. Absolutely. I mean, let's talk about all this stuff that's going on with Joe Biden. He can't even function, a guy. I mean, look, who's really running this country? I'm going to say this. Who's running this country? Jerry and I talked about this the other night.
I'm not sure.
Right. I'm going to give you a thought. Just a thought for everybody out there. Everybody's going, oh, it's Obama right away. You sure about that? Look what's going on with this country. Look what's going on from within this country. Slowly in some areas. Could it be China behind it pulling the strings? Think about it.
Well, you know what? If you think about it too, China may have been pulling strings under Obama because, if you remember, Obama went overseas and, he bowed to certain foreign dignitaries that no U.S. president had ever bowed to before. And, he gave in to, foreign countries on things that we shouldn't have given in to. He gave money to countries we should have never given money to. He released the funds to the Iranians.
Right.
And it's like, so basically he just caved into pretty much every bad actor on the world stage.
Yeah. Now, I don't have proof on this. I'm just saying possible. I'm not using it as conspiracy theory. I'm just saying it's possible. Anything's possible right now. Look what's going on around the world.
If it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, swims like a duck, and quacks like a duck.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. So anyway, that being said, we're going to cut this podcast really short tonight. I know Jerry and we're going to be on doing some other stuff here in a minute. We were actually been on quite a few. Jerry's been on with me on a couple different, how do we say it, calls through Twitter. There's a whole new thing going on with Twitter, and we've been invited to certain things. So last night we were speaking to a doctor, nurses, and a couple things. But like I said, we're not going to get into COVID tonight, but some of the stuff we've said in the past is obviously true. But again, I'm not going to talk about that tonight. And we're going to be on tonight. I think I'm going to try to put something together here, and then I've got a few more other little videos on some other stuff to do. Jerry, anything else? What are you thinking here? What do you want to go with this?
Well, my whole thing is, we talked about the filibuster, and my big concern right now is that hypocrisy's been around our government for a long time.
Right, on both sides.
And I understand. No, absolutely it has.
Yeah.
And, and that was something we discussed a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
Hypocrisy's been around for a long time. Actually, if you think about hypocrisy too, something you and I hadn't even talked about today, but, it just popped into my head.
Right.
The Democrats basically say that minorities are too stupid to get a free identification card for voting.
Right. Right.
And so voter ID is racist, obviously.
Yes.
However, now in most Democrat areas, you need to carry a vaccine passport,
right,
to prove who you are, which is a form of identification.
Right.
Okay. And then on top of that, in some of those areas, not only do you have to carry the vaccine passport, you have to carry a picture ID to prove that it's you that's on the vaccine passport.
Yeah.
So here's the Democrats that are saying that voter ID and voting, which is basically a right in the United States, voter ID is racist. But then they want you to have an ID just to go to a restaurant to eat.
I know.
Is eating not a human right?
Right.
And it's like, so just if you want to go to a restaurant and eat, you have to have your papers, please,
I
and
know.
so talk about the hypocrisy there, which they don't want you to have an ID to vote because that's racist. You have to have an ID to go to the grocery store. Well, how does that affect minorities? Got to have an ID to go in a grocery store. Oh, so now black people can't eat,
Right.
and it's like, so, you have to have an ID to, go to a restaurant. So now, Hispanic people, can't go into a restaurant if they don't have an ID.
Right.
Right. And so the hypocrisy there is just gigantic.
Oh, I know. It's got crazy. I mean, I heard that, oh gosh, you and I talked about it. Got to even have a card through them. What's the bank I mentioned to you last night? Citibank. Yeah, it took me a second. So I heard Citibank as of yesterday, has told all their employees to get vaccinated or lose their job. Again, get vaccinated or lose their job. Heard that on the news. I haven't done enough research on it yet. I was actually going to call Citibank today, but I had a lot going on today. I couldn't even get on the phone with them. But I'm going to get on the phone with them, let them know if that's the case, they're going to lose my business, and I'm going to start spreading this around about Citibank not to do business if that's the case. That's their choice. But again, I just don't think it's something fair to people to be forced into this jab. Again, I am not anti-vaccine, but I am for freedom. What's your thought on that, Jerry?
Well, no, I totally agree. And I'm going to give you an opinion. And so anybody listening, this is not, Brian Harrison's opinion or, anything like that. This is my opinion.
Right.
My opinion is Citibank has for many years not been the organization that they once were. I got rid of all my Citibank stuff years ago over other reasons, not for this. They were just a poor company to do business with. That's why I got rid of them. But now all of a sudden, this is another reason for, people to get rid of Citibank. And so, if they're going to be that way, but, going back to, companies that are doing things that are negatively affecting other people.
Right.
I just heard a new one actually shortly before you called me.
Right.
Have you heard what is going on with Ronald McDonald House right now?
No, I have not.
Oh, this is a beautiful one.
Oh, gosh. Here we go.
Ronald McDonald House is now going to evict all cancer patient children who are not vaccinated.
Where'd you get this from?
That was on Newsmax. I was watching a segment, and it was I watched the video of one of the parents arguing with one of the staff members at Ronald McDonald House.
All right. I'm going to have to call. I'm going to call up there and find out and verify through them. And
I need to watch the video of that conversation between the parent and the staff member.
Yeah.
And the parent's like, where are we going to go? What are we going to do? And it's like, so literally, if a child who is dying of cancer is at Ronald McDonald House, they will be evicted simply for not being vaccinated.
So, guys out there, if you're hearing this right now, definitely go ahead. I would call the Ronald McDonald House. Call McDonald's corporate, I guess. That's how you get a hold of them. Find out what the truth is on this. I'm sure Jerry's very reliable on most of his stuff, pretty much all his stuff. But again, need to verify this, just like I need to verify Citibank. I heard it on a news source too, but like we said, some of the news sources on both sides have their little wacky things going on out there, but we're going to check into it. But if that's the case, I will stop doing business with McDonald's completely.
Oh, Ronald McDonald House will get no money from me.
No, not at all.
If that, and like I said, if it had been like one of those, like, well, I heard this or I heard that, but I watched the conversation between one of the parents and one of the staff members, and I watched the conversation, and I was like, in total disbelief. I mean, I grew up with that being one of the most fantastic places on the face of the earth because they took care of children and they kept the family, giving the family a place to live while the children were under treatment. And, what an incredible place to live. And now they're going to play politics with the lives, very lives of children.
Well, that's what the left's doing anyway right now. Obviously, we see Cortez going down to Florida. She could have taken that down there. Probably got it from down there. And I don't like to use the words murder. You just see how I translated that when it went from one person to another and it got to an elderly person and they could have passed away and it could have been her fault. But again, I hated using that word
Brian,
murder, but in a sense it is.
Cancer patients. Okay,
yeah.
Cancer
I
patients
know, that's
are
another
already
thing.
immunocompromised.
Exactly.
And now you want them to take a vaccine that could kill them. And the parents are saying, no, I don't want my child to have that vaccine.
Right.
I mean, I could understand if they said, okay, if your kid comes up with COVID, we don't have the resources or the ability to take care of your child in this facility.
Yeah.
Once they have
it's
COVID, and they're going to have to move somewhere else.
Right.
I could get that. Okay. But to literally evict anybody who's not been vaccinated and make them stop the cancer treatment that they're under and go somewhere else.
Right.
That's criminal.
So, guys, I'm going to verify this. I'll put this on the post. I'll do a video most likely tomorrow night, definitely the next night. And I'm going to check into Citibank as well. I'm going to look at both of these, and then I'll come back with the answers on that. I'll try to get the answers from these guys.
Well, Ronald McDonald, you can go on Newsmax to find that.
And I'm actually going to get a hold of them. I'm going to try to get a hold of them.
But I mean, that's where the video was. I mean, it's like, I understand that'll
sure.
probably be out there in other places, but that's the video I saw.
Yeah, and that makes sense, but we're going to see. And if you're finding anybody out there that is firing people over this vaccine, look, seriously, and I'm saying this seriously, if you go into a restaurant and they're asking for a vaccine card, don't do business with them, any company at all. If you've got a business out there and you're demanding your employees to get vaccinated, that's all on you. But people, don't do business with that company either. I'm going to say it. It is choice, freedom of choice. If the company does that, it's not a good company. It's not a company worth being with. Just walk away from that company. And that's the way I see it, because they're anti-American at that point. And that's what this country is about. This country is founded on freedom, choice, and many other things we've gotten into in the past. All right, anything else, Jerry? Because I'm going to end the show. I'm going to keep you on the phone because we're going to do another thing.
And like I said, I was just making sure that we tied everything to hypocrisy.
Sure,
because,
absolutely.
I know we didn't want to go down a rabbit hole of, other topics we've already discussed in the past.
Yeah.
But the hypocrisy that is being shown by the left and by their supporters, whether they be hospitals, businesses. I mean, my gosh, think about that. Ronald McDonald House, who's dedicated to taking care of children, is now going to kick out children simply because they're not vaccinated.
Right.
Children that are literally have cancer.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even grasp the concept of how evil that is.
Well,
I really can't.
When I get on my next video chat here with some senators and stuff, I'm going to bring this up as well. I'm hoping to be on with some tonight, so I got a busy night with that. And then we'll go with that and see, and I'll talk with them about that tonight, if not tomorrow night. Anything else, Jerry?
Nope, that'll do it.
All right, guys, as always, we want to thank our military for everything you guys do out there. We appreciate everything you're doing. We appreciate our law enforcement out there. Love you guys. You guys are going through a lot right now. Also, our first responders, my God, you're going through a lot. Like I've said, people, don't go to the hospital to get tested unless you're in pretty bad shape. Don't go, I got a scratchy throat, I'm going to run to the hospital. Guess what? You may have something else. Learn to be sick again. I mean, that's what it's about. I mean, we all get sick. It's not always COVID. But again,
I love that phrase, learn to be sick again.
Exactly.
That's so good.
I got that from a nurse. She told me this. That's what she said about people right now, what's going on. And, that being said, I mean, we know COVID's out there, and we know some of the cases are dangerous. Matter of fact, I will say this. We spoke to a long-term COVID patient last night. Jerry was on with me. And that long-term COVID patient is 31 years old. Actually, we prayed for him on that, where we were last night on this podcasting we did. Not podcast. What was it? It's like a Skype or something. But anyway, there was a whole bunch of people on there. And then we spoke to him for a while. He was on there for a while. And he was having an asthma attack all of a sudden. But he got the first COVID, the bad one when it first came out. Apparently still dealing a lot with that. And
because his asthma attack was, he didn't have asthma before he got COVID.
No,
so and that asthma attack was a result of.
He had an asthma attack while we were on this podcast, or on this video chat we did last night. I keep saying podcast, video chat. So that being said, though, our prayers are always with him and everybody else out there is going through a lot of things with COVID, because we're not denying COVID, especially the first round. And as we say, Correct. It gets weaker over time. But again, our first responders, again, thank you for everything you do right now, because like I said, people are running and flocking to the hospitals, and now there's a shortage on staff, I'm hearing. I just read about it on some of the news sources around here, local in the Raleigh area. They're having shortages. I wonder why. Vaccine mandates. Also, definitely want to thank you guys. I want to thank our farmers for everything you do, our truck drivers for everything you do. Joe Biden's saying he's trying to clear it up on the West Coast. I've spoken to some people that are actually out there on the West Coast. They're working some of those docks, and they're saying the government's not helping like they say they are. But again, they're letting the illegals come across the border, aren't they? A lot of them. Anyway, thanks for everything you guys do out there, and God bless you. God bless America, and have a great, great, great night. Take care.